Oh, are we live? Are we live? We're live. Mets fans, the shit show continues. Step right up and meet the mother effing Mets. Mets fans, I'm not asking you how you're doing tonight. Another day where I know exactly how you're doing this evening. You're disgusted. You're distraught. And all I could do is laugh like the effing Joker at this point because everything about this team continues to be an absolute joke. The New York Mets have dropped every single ball game since the one that I attended. That was game 1 in Philly 2 series ago. The Mets have dropped since then 5 consecutive effing ball games. They have been outscored over the past 5 games 50-19. 5-0. They had 6 hours in today's game with Francisco Lindor returning in game 2 of the doubleheader matchup. No Juan Soto, and yes, as you can absolutely guess, it's a problem. The Mets got a lot of solo bombs today from Francisco Alvarez, 3 over the past 24 hours. You got Marky V with a bomb that tied the ball game initially 4-4 in game 2 after the Mets blew a 3-run lead. You got Bo Bichette with 2 home runs in this series. You got Jared Young with a little bit of a ding-dong, but doesn't really matter. Of course it doesn't matter. Noah McClain gives up 6 earned across 6. Another outing where you cannot rely upon your young soon-to-be ace of a starter. Another day where Sean Manaea not having the best velocity, having terrible location, and out of the ball game in 3 effing innings. Didn't get a single out there. And the 4th, you saw a bunt go over Bo Bichette's head at third base for an RBI by Mr. PCA. Everything about this series, everything about what has happened over the past 72 plus hours is so fitting, so on par, and just so disgusting. That is the reality again, that this New York Mets season is so beyond cooked, it's not even funny. They are currently 34-45 on the season, yet you're 34-36, one of the 34-46, one of the two. They're over 10 games below 500. This is the worst position that they have been in since they dropped 12 consecutive effing ball games going back to the month of April. And what was the commonality in that 12-game losing streak for the New York Mets in the month of April? They did not have Juan Soto. The New York Mets have not had Juan Soto and Francisco Lindor in the same lineup together for more than 9 games this season. The Mets have played 40, 50, 60, 70. They played 80 games already this year. 80! 8-0. And I know I'm shortchanging them. They played more than 80 to this point. Juan Soto, who the hell knows when we're going to get him back? Well, your post-game here, if we haven't already, by Mets skipper that we all love so much, and Carlos Mendoza as to what's the latest status on Juan Soto. Even if Juan is returning tomorrow, doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter. Everything about this rotation is so godforsaken. Look at the pitching again, guys. This is just one of 2 disasters today. This is the final ball game match with the New York Mets. Sean Manaea 3 earned 4 runs total across 3. Brosman's first outing in almost a week. He was nails. Brooks Raley not being reliable the way that I need him to be. Brooks, please stop sucking. We need you for your trade value if you are not going to be here for anything else, obviously. Weave Dog, Minter, and Mr. Devin Williams, no earned runs in the 9th inning because absolutely malpractice by the New York Mets and their defensive fundamentals, okay? On a day where the New York Mets officially activate Francisco Lindor, on a day where they officially send down Ronnie Mauricio to AAA to finish his rehab, on a day where they officially DFA Zach Short, you mean to tell me that we have 6 effing hours and the game to defeat a part of what is a doubleheader coverage that we have for our post-game rant for each and every one of you today that we're going to deep dive here in just one moment. Mets fans, again, I'm not asking you if you're doing well. I know the answer to that is no, you're not doing well. You might be emotionally tapped out with this New York Mets team by now, which I wouldn't fault you. This was the line for the final ball game for the New York Mets today. 1 of 2 that we saw. Carson Medge did his thing. A.J. Ewing's batting the 2-hole because obviously Soto being out. Alvey was fantastic, but unless your name was Francisco Alvarez today, or a little bit of a Jared Young, or a little bit of a solo shot by Marky V, Swaggy V, whatever you want to call him, you did not have much to offer for the New York Mets today. So in tonight's post-game rant, presented by PrizePicks, the amazing sponsor of the platform. Download the PrizePicks app now today, everybody. now that they're officially live in this day in New York. Because if you guys want to play and win big with awesome plays like what you see beside me, when we took obviously guys like Holland and Mbappe in the World Cup over the past 48 hours to get themselves some goals, or maybe you want to do an MLB related play, either way, Prize Picks, the best app for daily projections and laps. Download the Prize Picks app, link down below now to all of our users live in the state of New York especially, and use our promo code HMA to get $50 in laps after you place your first $5 lineup. Again, that is promo code HMA to get $50 in laps after you place your first $5 lineup with Prize Picks. And shout out to SeatGeek, the official marketplace of the New York Mets. Use the promo code WARDY10 today. That is WARDY10 for whatever you want in the ticketing space. Whether it's Mets tickets, as they're the official marketplace of the Mets, or anything here, because maybe you don't want to go to Mets games again this season. I can't fault you for that if you don't want to go to Mets games. I don't want to go to Mets games. The only games I'm attending right now are literally the ones I am working. Literally the ones that I am working. Other than that, there's really no reason for me to be attending games right now. I don't fault anyone for not going out of their way to attend Mets games at this current juncture. Now, Mets fans, it's a temperature check. I'm going to ask you all live, watching live, and on replay. And Lieb, I know I was right about the Mets sucking. Sadly, anyone with common sense knows that this Mets team is absolute dog water. They're pond scum. They're below pond scum. We have known this. My question, each and every one of you, is pretty simple to everyone watching live and to everyone watching on replay in the comments down below. Let it rip. Say it with me. Is the season officially cooked? We're 11 games below 500. You just got Lindor back. Now you lost Soto. Let's see the post-game remarks from Mets skipper Carlos Mendoza today to see how we're feeling about all this, right? What does Mendy go on to say? Do we have anything yet? No, we do not. Should we get a Mendy presser? We'll talk about it. In the meantime, I want to know, is this wraps? Are we all wrapped up? Is this it? Is this it? We just got to throw in the trash. That's the season. Time to sell, 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 sell. It's felt like it's been cooked since the third week of the season, but you guys let me know, okay? Because the Mets are not going to do anything that we want them to do. The Mets are not going to fire Carlos Mendoza, even though he should have been fired back in the month of April. The Mets are not going to be proactive in adding to this rotation because they're 10 effing games below 500. The Mets are not going to have enough in-house options to bank on a certainty because everything about this godforsaken team is uncertain. It goes without saying, but this season is absolutely washed, okay? If the Mets find a way to prove my ass wrong, congratulations. I'll be so happy to be proven wrong. I will be the most joyous Mets fan imaginable to be running laps. You can find my ass streaking down the effing block if I'm proven wrong so much that the Mets have a deep playoff run and maybe go ahead and win the damn thing this year. They have to defy the odds and have to somehow, some way, smite the baseball gods. The same baseball gods have been smiting this godforsaken team for so effing long now, it's beyond comprehension. Again, I am firmly under the belief more and more as time goes on that enough people sold their damn soul to you-know-who back in 1986 for a little team by the name of the Amazons back, and yes, you guessed it, Flushing, Queens, to go ahead and win a World Series. It feels like since that point, there has been a hex, there has been a curse, there's been something stenched, a dark cloud across this New York Metropolitan Club that going on from the Will Ponzing regime. Even after the Bernie Madoff entire situation there, even after getting absolutely hosed and having little dollars left, even though they still have money, not what they initially were comfortably with. Even after that, to now the Steve Cohen era. What's the commonality? More of the same. When I say more of the same, it's not necessarily in how the team operates, but it's rather the lack of execution, the lack of proper ROI, the lack of, I don't know, getting anywhere close to your season expectations. We have broken this down extensively every single year under Steve Cohen. And this is not nearly as much a fault on Steve as it is unfortunately on the people that he has hired and bestowed upon these respective positions since becoming club owner. The New York Mets have only had one truly valiant run under Steve Cohen, and that was in the same year that everyone wrote them off 10, 15 games in the season, being 5, 10 plus games below 500 that we saw in 2024. If it wasn't for the rally from Lindor's MVP caliber summer to Mr. OMG to JD Martinez's guidance and everything else in between that entailed that year, the New York Mets and us fans have nothing to cling on to in the Steve Cohen era. You could say 2022, but 2022 was an electric first half, a dog water second half, and a curb stomping at the end to lose the division and look even worse against the Padres at home against at the time, the Juan Soto-led San Diego Padres, along with Manny, Toddy, etc. Okay? So, yeah, if you can't tell, I'm getting fed up here. I'm getting really pissed off because it's no matter the amount of dollars the Mets are spending, the roster construction is so piss poor. I mean, we were upset about last season. We were upset about a rotation from June onward last year that was nowhere to be seen. That was so godforsaken that even though that, yes, the Mets could not hit a lick entering the ninth inning, trailing a run or more to save their entire life, one of the most unclutched teams I've ever witnessed in that 2025 season. What is also true is that it's unbelievably difficult for an offense to get a flow going when you're down multiple runs early in a ball game. And that's been the common consensus for the New York Mets from June of 2025 to present day, almost July of 2026. A full calendar effing year of the New York Mets thinking it's okay to ride with what they've ridden with in the rotation. To think that it's okay now this season with starters throughout the first 3 effing innings for them this year, allowing a total ERA collectively of north of 6 at the moment. Afterwards, they do much better, but it does not matter because their pitching sets them up for failure almost every single game. And the New York Mets today, what did they do so terribly? They had 3-run leads and both of their ball games today. Noel McLean decided not to choke until after the Mets gave him a 3-run lead. The Mets, Sean Manaea literally could not get a single effing out in the 4th inning when they had ample opportunity to do so. He's getting barreled like crazy because he's a soft-tossing southpaw, getting barreled against righties who know what the hell they're doing. Dansby Swanson had more RBIs than the Mets had runs scored this series. Am I exaggerating? Wait, 6? How many runs did the Mets have today in the final game? 5, 6, 7, 8. Dansby had 9 RBIs. Am I wrong? Swanson has knocked in 9 runs today against the Mets. Dansby Swanson alone scored more runs against the Mets than the Mets scored entirely in their doubleheader today. Entirely. The same man who curb stomped this team during his time in Atlanta most certainly has curb stomped the New York Mets in this series. The Mets drop game 1 10-3. Noel McLean gets his tits so effing lit. The Mets offense, again, you had early 3 runs. That was a nice little thing you got going from Jared Youngstein down to Alvey down, going back to back in game 1 of the doubleheader. And it meant jack all when Noel McLean got absolutely destroyed later in this ball game. Let's get right into it. I got donations. I got comments. We'll get into all that. I pinky promise. Hit that like and subscribe button on your way, Mets fans. I'm pissed the hell off. How can I not be? This season's been washed. It's been shambles. It's been washed away since the 3rd week of the season. Yet I've had to try to come out here and try to suggest otherwise. It's been easier said than done when this team has been a steaming pile of dog shit pretty much nightly for what has been almost the entirety of the season. It pisses me off to no one to speak about them in this manner. I do not enjoy it. There is nothing enjoyable about me being like this as a fan. But this is reality. The team's not good, and we have to continue to tell you they're not good until the team acknowledges they're not good and actually goes in and sell, or idiotically, buy, or what I expect, buy, sell, or you don't move an inch one way or the other, which has been the case with this team this year. When it comes to moving upward, the Mets don't know how to do that. They're on a roller coaster right now. This is a roller coaster that only goes straight or goes down. It's never about going up. It's straight down. We don't have this thing called an upward direction as a Mets fan right now, okay? There's nothing upward about this New York Mets team because as soon as you're starting to climb a little thing that you call Francisco Lindor returning, you come to find out Juan Soto is now down with injury. Love you guys. Shout out all my members. I love you guys to death. I'll get in all your comments, questions, and concerns in a second. Give me 1 second. Let me focus my camera real quick. If this thing can focus, give me 1 more minute here. Not gonna lie, we should have kept Pete Alonso. Yeah, no shit. Yeah, I think it goes without saying that the Mets should have kept Pete Alonso. Granted, I don't want that contract with Pete, but at the same time, I would take Pete right now. How could you not take Pete right now? Pete would do wonders for this team right now. Versus what they have at first base, you know? They did nothing to properly address it. They literally did nothing. Okay, let's see. All right, guys, let's talk. let's talk about this shit show that you call day in Mets land, which has really been the case for a while now. I know you're not, Jared. I appreciate you. I know we got fans in here from all different fan bases, okay? So what do we come to find out again? The Mets found themselves with an early 3-0 lead that we saw in game 1 of this doubleheader today. That would change, obviously, because then we see Michael Busch ties the ball game with his 9th home run of the year after Michael Conforto with the double drives in PCA. You know how much it pained me, and it went straight to the heart when I get a notification on my phone that Michael Conforto doubles, PCA scores, and it's not the New York Mets? Like, imagine looking at that notification back in 2021 and knowing that that was never going to become a reality. Like, think about that, because I know we're not, well, I remember clearly back a couple years ago thinking, no, the Mets outfield was going to be awesome. Michael's going to be in right field long term. We're going to have PCA come up and be our dog in center. Nims is going to stay in left. We're going to be cooking. That's what we're hoping for. And yeah, no, it's happened. It's happening as we speak, but it's happening against the New York Mets, not with the New York Mets. So after it becomes 3-3 in this ball game, it then becomes 6-3. Why? With a couple runners on base, Dansby Swanson says, oh yeah, see ya, sayonara, gone. Barrels one off Noah McLean terribly. It's his 10th home run of the year. It's a 6-3 Cubs lead. Then it goes on to get even worse for the New York Mets, because as they're rolling over and dying with their offense, Dansby Swanson, with a bases juice situation in the 8th inning, says, let's blow the doors open. Dansby, the Mets killer during his time in Atlanta, torching the Mets today that we see. A grand effing salami. His 11th home run of the year, his 2nd home run of the day, his 3rd bomb of the series already. At least it felt that way. Maybe it's just his 2nd. Either way, Dansby Swanson, absolute menace against the New York Mets. That made it 10-3, and that was ball game, everybody. There's nothing else to say. The Mets went a whopping 0-for-7 with runners in scoring position in game 1 of their effing doubleheader today. They left 5 on base, for those that are unaware. Okay, McLean gave up 6 across 6. He's got a 4 ERA, and this comes out of after going 7 masterful innings of work with north of 10 Ks his last time out there. So Noah McLean, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. That has been his season. Shane Pintaro comes in, gets his tits slit, but he just got called up as the 27th man for the Mets doubleheader today. So I'm not shocked to see this. Austin Warren had a scoreless inning. That's good to see. Mets offense in game 1 of the doubleheader that they lose 10-3. Carson Bench 2-for-4. Okay. Ewing 0-for-4. Bichette 1-for-4 with the run scored. Yun 1-for-2 with the home run. Alvey 2-for-3 with the bomb. Wagman 0-for. Beatty 0-for. Simeon 0-for. MJ 1-for-4. Terrence 0-for. That is game 1 of the shit show today. Let's advance to game 2, where it somehow, some way gets even worse. You know, we were laughing. We're all saying to ourselves, oh, surely it can't get worse than the Mets giving up 40 effing runs in their first, in their last 4 games. But oh yeah, no, it can get a lot worse. Let's have it where the Mets average giving up 10 runs. 10 runs a game for the past 5 games. Do you realize how hard that is to do? They're not in a bandbox either. I get it. They were kind of in one in Philly, so fair. I acknowledge that, but still, you're at Citi Field and you're giving up the amount of runs that you are. The Mets had more excitement at Citi Field today from the Norwegian World Cup fans sitting in the 7-line section in the outfield, far more than they did from their actual own fans or from anything else about this organization. If you guys do not know, the World Cup's been going on. A huge group of Norwegian fans are in New York right now because of the World Cup going on, and they were taking over Times Square the other day, and they took over Citi Field in the first half of the doubleheader today. The only entertaining thing to come out of Citi Field today, unless you're a Cubs fan. Game 2, where the Mets got swept today. The New York Mets went 0-for-6 with runners in scoring position, left 6 on base. The Cubs went a whopping 7-for-25. They had 25 players in scoring position. 25 opportunities. I'm literally voice cracking. 25. Actually, pardon my French, kiddos, fucking hilarious. 25. They left 9 on base. All you can do is laugh. Literally all you can do is laugh. Lindor's first game back with the New York Mets from injury. Here's what happens, everybody. We're going to speed run it real quick for you. Nothing happens from either side, from Imanaga to Minaya in the first. We get to the second. Carson Kelly with a double makes him 1-0 right away. Admiral Horner with a double. Back-to-back doubles for the righty batters against the soft-tossing Minaya. We head an inning later. Alvey ties the ball game. 8th home run of the year. And Alvey has 8 home runs now in his career against the Chicago Cubs. far and away more than he's ever had against any other major league team in baseball to this point. Not only do we have that going on with Albie that you guys can see there, 1-1 ties the ball game. Wagman then with a single, and then AJ Ewing with an absolutely dismantled baseball. AJ pissed on this thing. Lefty off of Shota Imanaga. The first lefty home run of his career for AJ Ewing. Congratulations to him. 420 that we saw in feet. Demolished off the bat there. AJ's third home run of his career makes it a 3-1 Mets lead. And of course, the Mets having a 3-run lead, you know they're not going to run. You know they're not going to run with it. You know they're going to blow it. Just a matter of when, not if. We head to the fourth inning. Nico Hoerner, another inning where he leads it off with a double. Then after Carson Kelly would reach on a terrible error by Marcus Semien, his 1 of 2 on the day, who's again, the Mets a fundamental play, don't know what the hell they're doing. Keith Hernandez is probably singing bad funnies in his head because that's the only thing you can do. And Pedro Ramirez makes it a 1-run ball game with a ground ball. And then after a wild pitch that allows runners to get second and third, Dansby singles to tie the ball game. Then PCA, let me fix this camera again. Then Pete Armstrong does something today that I've never seen before as a Mets fan, which is saying a lot. What does Pete Armstrong do today, everybody? PCA pops up a bunt as Bo Bichette is playing so far in at third base. The ball goes over Bichette's head. What should have been an easy little pop out in the infield to make sure no runner moves over. Instead, the ball goes above and beyond Bichette's head as he is diving forward, essentially. A run comes in, and it's 4-3 Cubs with no outs, and Manaea's out of the ballgame already. Mark Vientos ties it a half inning later with a home run, his 10th of the year. It doesn't matter, though. We head to the bottom of the fifth, and nothing happens. We head to the sixth inning. Dansby Swanson's his second triple. So Dansby, who already has a grand slam, a triple. I think he has a double, or he's going to tomorrow. He's going to hit for this cycle. If not all in one game, he will throughout this series for the New York Mets, inevitably. It's now against the New York Mets, rather. It's 5-4 Cubs. It's then 6-4 because terrible pitching by the New York Mets. Bichette smacks his 10th home run and his second home run of the series that we would see a half inning later. That makes it still a 1-run ball game. So the Mets offense, they're chipping away. They're trying to stay afloat in this one as much as their pitching is trying to do everything in their power to cough it up. And sadly, the pitching would cough it up because after the Mets had some opportunities, including the AJ Ewing double with less than 2 out in the 7th inning, they would not prevail. Instead, we see the Cubs prevail as they would pounce on the New York Mets. And what we would sadly see here, an AJ Minter. AJ would come in, and then we would see AJ allow the run to come in off of an error from Vientos. Terrible error by Mark Vientos. Lindor had a costly error, and everyone, you get an error, you get an error, you get an error. Bichette had a double later in this one. Didn't matter. Alvarez struck out late in the ball game and snapped the bat completely off of his leg. Very Pete Alonso reminiscent from a couple years ago, if you guys remember. And then we saw them tack on more because, again, the Mets defense, Vientos, multiple costly errors is what it looked like in this one that he was charged with. Semien absolutely horrendous that we saw in this matchup. Lindor obviously had an error late in this ball game. And nonetheless, the Mets go on to drop Game 2 and drop all first of the 3 games in a 4-game set against Chicago Cubs now. They've been outscored 50-19 over their past 5 games. 50-19. I need you guys to remind yourself just how bad it is when you hear that. 5-0-19, okay? Sean Manaea, I'm not going to think twice about it. He gave up 3 earned across 3. Mets collective pitching pissed me the hell off today. We're just doing a collective Mets pitching grade today. We're combining McLean. We're combining in all the relievers from Game 1, and we're combining all the relievers and pitchers from Game 2. The Mets gave up 20 runs today. They weren't all earned because of poor defense. I understand that. The Mets gave up 20 runs today in their 2-game matchups. So what does the Mets pitching get? You get a 2 out of 10, and that's me being generous. Unbelievably generous, okay? Mets offense scored a total of 8 runs today in the doubleheader, so equating to about 4 runs per game. Honestly, not terrible, and honestly, that should keep you somewhat afloat in these games. Instead, it doesn't. Mets collective offensive grade they're going to get from both Game 1 and Game 2 today, that is going to be right there. We're going to go 4 out of 10 for the Mets collective offense today, okay? They averaged 4 runs per game. That's what they're going to go with. And this is how the ball game ended for the Mets in their final matchup today. Carson Mensch went over, and I realized that this is the graphic from the other game. So my apologies for that, everybody. Let me go ahead and pull up the graphic that is needed. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't matter, for being honest here. You know, it's 2 different games that were played today. Nonetheless, I'll just say here, Benj went 0 for in the final game today. 257 average and a 720 OPS. Lindor 0 for 214 average and a 637 OPS. Bichette 2 for 4 with the RBI. 254 average, just under 700 OPS thanks to the home run. Vientos, home run, 220 average, 658 OPS. Simeon, 1 for 4, 214 average, 612 OPS. Alvarez, 1 for 4, 264 average, 775 OPS with the home run. Wagman, 1 for 3, 211 average, 686 OPS. Jared Young, 0 for 234 with a 734. AJ Ewing with the big bomb, 261 with a 738. Beatty, 0 for 217 with a 601. Terrence, 0 for 216 with a 577. And MJ Melendez, 0 for with a walk at 186 average and a 659 on the OPS. Now, Mets fans, let's get your comments. Let me make sure that I did not miss anything as well. Let's see. Let's see here. Let's see what Mendy said. That's what I got to know. Carlos Mendoza says it's hard to explain what to attribute the loss to. Are you kidding? Again, it just... He said everybody's pissed, everybody's frustrated. Yeah, man, you said this literally all of last year. Like, they're making you look so idiotic by keeping you at the helm here. I'm starting to feel bad for Mendy. Like, I know he gets his millions, and I shouldn't feel bad for him, but, like, they're just hanging this guy out to dry. He's clearly not the guy for the job. This roster is dog shit. Everything needs to be cut the cord here, and nothing's being cut. It's disgusting. They've waited so long to be proactive this year. It is hilariously bad. And to make matters even worse, this was the Mets broadcast at the end of the ballgame. I want you guys to listen closely to these quotes. Gary Cohen on the New York Mets at the end of today's game. This team is in the depths of despair. End quote. He further goes on to say, this is the type of game that causes reevaluations. This has been nothing short of ugly. Ron Darling, who has been very critical of the Mets operating this season, replies with the following. This feels like rock bottom. Yeah, no shit, it feels like rock bottom, because this is rock bottom for the New York Mets. That is exactly what this is. Help us get it 250 likes to our live and recurring viewers. I greatly appreciate that, everybody. Hit that like and subscribe button on your way as we're sadly live reacting and breaking down in real time the New York Mets shit show, which is them getting swept by the Cubs and now in a position of really no return this season, if you ask me. It's really hard to believe otherwise right now. Just everything about this team is so dog shit. If this is a day where I wish the season was only half a season, not an entire season. The idea of having to cover an entire second half of this year, terrible thought. It has been a grueling past calendar year plus of talking about the same nonsense each day, hoping it'd be something different when we all know it's not going to be. Give me 1 second, everybody. Just gonna blow my nose out quick. Okay, everybody. Let's get to these comments. Steve, great member. Steve, I got to hit you back. I know you texted me not long ago, brother. $5, 6 errors. If this doesn't get somebody fired, nothing will. And sadly, I have a feeling nothing will at this rate. Scott with the $5. When Bichette made it 6-5 with the homer, I knew the Mets wouldn't score again. I'm either Nostradamus or a delusional Mets schmuck. Could be both, depending on the day, Scott. Thank you for the donation. Nick, $10. Love you, Nick. Great member. First 80 games of 2025, Mets allowed 274 runs. First 80 games of 2026, the Mets have allowed literally 100 more at 371. Not sure when the run prevention plan Stearns promised us will come into play. Yeah, it's not going to come into play until the season's already been long lost. Have you not picked that up by now? Because I know I have. Great stat, though, Nick. I appreciate that. I'm actually going to reference that and content that we do tomorrow, so thank you kindly for it. Dave with the $2 holla. On a positive note, the shirt is at your P.O. box. Thank you so much for that, Dave. I'll make sure to check it out. God bless you and your family. Hope you guys are all doing tremendous. JS, $5 holla. New owner, same old shit. Cohen needs to realize Stearns ain't it. Love the wordplay there, and I tend to agree with you at this rate. I really do. D Needle, $2 holla. Great member. Sometimes I wonder why I'm a fan of this team. You're not the only Mets fan that finds themselves asking or saying these things. Michael Saya, as always, amazing member, $4 holla. 8 runs that equals $4. Season contribution is $436.50. Michael, thank you so much for your continued generosity. I know that's probably been hell for you to be tapped in like this when you probably don't want to be as a Mets fan right now. So know how much I greatly appreciate you and all that you supported this season. God bless you and your family as well, Michael. Hope you're doing well, regardless of the Mets being dog shit. Malvar with the $5 haul says, this team, great member, has officially entered the worst team money can buy territory. Oh, we've been here, Tuts. We've been here for the past north of 2 months. I don't see how they get out of it. You and I both. Steve, $5 haul, great member. Mets have the worst record in baseball since June 2025. Yep, and the best record in baseball their previous 162 games. Any other team achieve that? No, that is as hot and cold as a team could possibly be. Thank you for the donation, Steve. I knew about them being the worst in baseball over this time, though. That's a fact. Mario, $5 holla. And again, worst team in baseball for a calendar year, but let's keep our manager here and let's keep being complacent with everything. Surely that's going to get the job done. Mario, $5 holla. Work his ass. His team is ass. Low-key going to start substitute cheating, maybe concessions at MSG for Nixon Rage instead of this shit. Guys, the Mets have reached Mets workers to their breaking point. They rather work at different facilities because they are so fed up with this team. I don't blame you, Mario. I really don't. Thank you for attending Wardy Day nonetheless. I hope you're doing well, brother. Really, really do. Alfredo, great member. Keith would have had a heart attack today. I'm sure he did watching, and I don't blame him. Steve, great member of 16 months. Can we just sell this team already? Total shit. Yeah, it's been terrible. Bar, $5 haul, great member. Stearns is a fraud who stole credit from Milwaukee's pre-built machine. Is there a plan to start pitching since day one? Just systemic failure. I wouldn't go that far. Stearns did help out with a lot with the player development, the drafting, and the vision in Milwaukee over a number of years. But to your point, though, they have a sustainability and a foundation that they don't need David Stearns for. Do I think David helped in that regard? Absolutely. And you'd be a fool to suggest otherwise. I can tell you in great confidence that he did. But regardless of what David built in Milwaukee, he's not building anything close to that right now in Flushing, Queens. And it's become an absolute disaster because of it. There's really no other way to put it. This team has been an absolute disaster. You've been doing Mendoza a favor by firing him. Literally. It feels like this man is being held like, you know what this feels like right now? Here's a reference for you guys. Here's a reference. What Carlos Mendoza is going through right now, with these pressers especially, doesn't feel far off from what happened to Wilson Ramos back in the day, if you know, you know. And OGs will know the story of Wilson Ramos during his time in D.C. I'm not talking about the Buffalo during his time with the Mets when he had north of a 20-game hitting streak, which was electric. Shout out Buffalo, he's going opposite field. No, I'm talking about Wilson Ramos, something crazy that happened with him in his life. That's what's feeling like is what's happening with Carlos Mendoza here right now, because literally there's no benefit to this man being in his position right now other than the payday he's getting. He's doing nothing as a needle mover for this organization in literally any way, shape, or form. And this team is benefiting in no way, shape, or form to be in the position that they're in with him right now. Literally, it feels like puppetry is continuing to go on in Flushing, Queens. And it's disgusting to say, and it's disgusting to witness, and it's disgusting to still deal with at this juncture in the year. It really, really is. I could have done a better job with this team. Steve, tell me how you really feel. Yeah, no, a lot of you guys feel the way that you do, and I don't blame you. Steve, to Rebecca in the chat, to Ben, to D-Gen, to all you guys watching live on replay, Philly, all you guys, thank you so much for hitting that like and subscribe on your way in and on your way out. Be on the lookout, Mets fans. We're going to have content dropping tomorrow. We're going to have a video that drops earlier in the day. We'll have, actually, let's see, the post. Do the Mets play tomorrow night, or do they play during the day tomorrow? That'll actually dictate content quite a bit. Please don't be a day game. Please don't be a day game. It's okay. Mets have a night game tomorrow. We will have a video that's going to drop earlier in the day for you guys. It's going to be on a lot with this team. A lot of what's bad, if you guys haven't figured it out already. And we're going to get into then our post-game coverage tomorrow night, win, lose, or draw against the Chicago Cubs, which, again, I'm not encouraged to get into. Let me just double-check before we get out of here, everybody, because, again, I don't want to waste too much of your time tonight. I hate talking about this team right now. It goes without saying. Todd Zeal on SNY just said the following, everybody. Right now, I think everybody's subject to looking in the mirror and wondering what's going to happen next because this is not acceptable play. Yeah, no shit. Again, this hasn't been acceptable for the longest period of time, yet we're still acting complacent and content. So David Stearns, with his big old smile, can be doing his presser yesterday. All good, all dandy, and saying how there's now a level of urgency with this team. But there wasn't 2 weeks ago, but there is now. I'm so glad that's the case. Literally, genuinely, this is just fucking hilarious how bad this team is. So that's all I got. I love you guys. I'm going to try to let them not ruin my night, even though they do such a great job at it. You guys try to enjoy your evening. The Mets are absolutely terrible. They're in no man's land. They're below pond scum. It's rock bottom. Their season is officially or unofficially over. Whatever the hell it is you want to label it. But as has been the case with the New York Mets my entire lifetime as a fan, as toxic as a relationship can possibly be, I refer to a famous quote that I see in memes all the time. It's exactly how I feel as a Mets fan. And I'm not saying this in direction to you, the fans. I'm saying this in direction to the New York Mets with what my relationship is like with them on an everyday basis. Again, think of the most toxic relationship imaginable. Maybe you're in a terrible relationship and it just isn't working. But either way, fuck you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Let's go Mets.